Welcome, everybody, to the Living Consciously television show, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado Interactivity Studios. Also, we are streaming on ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com, as well as YouTube Live and on Google Hangouts. I'm your host and moderator, Coach Steve Toth, and our theme today is, will you meditate when you have time? And our guest today is one of our returning guests, Dina Proctor, and she's joining us. I don't know, are you back from your travels?
I am. I'm back in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. All right, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And let me introduce the rest of our cast, beginning with next to Dina on the right. I'm just going to go down the line. We have Linda Dyer joining us from where the kangaroos never stop running. Australia. I don't even need to say Australia, do I? Everybody will know. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
All right, awesome. And then next to Linda, we have Nina Diverderosa, and she's from a place where the lights are always running, and they never stop.
Yeah, no, they don't. Neither do the people. And they've got cooler hair, and it's really, really lovely. So I'm a happy camper. Good to be here.
Awesome. Welcome. She's from Las Vegas, of course. And we also have, next to her, last but not least, we have Tori Kosicki, and he's usually joining us from New York. Are you in New York?
I am.
All right. Awesome. Welcome to the show. All right. So let's kick it off with this thing called time. So, Dina, what's your experience? Is time real, or is it just an illusion?
Well, my experience walking through day-to-day life, it's hard to believe that time is just an illusion, but it's my ultimate belief. And when I've had the clarity of being in higher consciousness states, that time is really only an illusion, that it's a perspective to live from when we're trying to get things done and to navigate, but it's almost like a language that we speak rather than an ultimate reality from the broadest of perspectives. So, you know, it looks like there's time. I have gray hair now. I didn't have gray hair 5 years ago, and so it looks like time has passed and things have changed.
That has nothing to do with time. It has to do with your DNA and your body and your chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. But it looks like progression through time. You know, I was once 2 years old. Now I'm like that.
Well, when it comes to age, like Nina doesn't recognize time whatsoever. For her, it stopped at 29.
Yeah, no, 39 and holding. I stopped my clock. 39.
Oh, 39. And look at how well she's doing with that.
That bottle that kind of gets rid of the roots, the grey roots. Dina, you'll be using that soon, believe me.
So in a way, we have several examples. I mean, Nina has proven that time doesn't really exist.
No. No, it doesn't. Well, time was invented because it was 24 hours, and then 12 hours, and then there was like daylight, and then there was dark, and then there was sort of autumn, spring, and summer, and all this created. And it's just as you were saying, it's not an illusion. It is there, but at the same time, I think we sort of focus too much on time. 8 o'clock, got to go to bed, or 8 o'clock, we've got to do this, or 10 o'clock. I think we sort of, I lost that a long time ago because I never went according to it. But no, time is of the essence.
Yeah, well, I strongly feel that it's an illusion, and I've proven it to myself many, many times. But, we all trained ourselves that, time is there, and the only good use that I really have for it is really just to make sure that we can have these shows on time and gather together, and that I remember my grandkids and my kids' birthdays and my friends. Other than that, I don't have much use for it.
No. And when you get older, you have even less use for it.
And
it's interesting that when.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, it's interesting that when you coaching clients, one of the biggest blocks, if you will, between where they are now and where they want to go is in fact time, and because they put so much emphasis on it, which is really interesting, because I always say everyone's got that 24 hours. It's what we do with it. It's actually not time that's the problem. It's the activities we're doing within the time we've got that maketh the difference. So if I'm focused on 5 big projects at the moment and they're all going amazingly well, and then time not a problem to me. But if I'm another person with 5 big projects and there's stuff happening, then time, can be a bugbear, and it makes it like we haven't got enough time. And so we run around in a tense situation. So I think for a lot of people, they run around thinking time is their enemy, whereas time can be your best friend.
Well, yes, as Steve put it. Yeah, so go, Dina.
I was going to say, I think Linda's making a good point because you're tying in the element of focus, of our ability to focus. It's the same thing with money. If we don't have enough money, we're aware of lack of money and scarcity, and it's an issue. If we don't have enough time, it feels like an issue. If we do feel like we're in flow and have plenty of time, or we have plenty of money, it becomes a non-issue for us. But I love what you were saying about focus, our ability to focus, because probably everybody tuning in now has had the experience where it has felt like I've been busy all day, but I've gotten nothing done, and so that's like a lack of focus. Or, oh my gosh, I've had the most productive morning ever. I got 3 weeks worth of work done in 4 hours. It's like that bending time. So it's a matter of perspective, and I think the more focused and honed in we are in being present in the moment, whatever activity we're doing, the better our relationship is to time. So that was a really good point, Linda.
I'm going to give you a very good example.
I think it's inherited.
I want to give you a very good example.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lynn. Go ahead. Someone go ahead.
It's interesting.
Okay, so this
it's
is like
interesting
playing
that
tennis.
it happens.
This is more than this is like a foursome. I'm just moderating. So we're playing tennis. Somebody's serving, and somebody else is returning.
I'm going to say what I wanted to say. I have to say something really when we talk about time. I had something very important to do, which I've been doing it, and I've been concentrating on it, and all of a sudden I looked up at the clock and it said 2:45, and I thought, oh, I wonder if we have a show today. True story. So I go to and I see Steve's note, and Jamie's on the show, and Nina's on the show, and Tora's on the show. I thought, oh, wait a second, I better go get ready. So I was totally oblivious of time until I realized that I might have an obligation because I know we have the show from 4 to 5, my time. So I figured, oh my goodness. But it's funny because I didn't rush. I just put everything down, and it was the right time, and I just went and got ready, and it all worked out extremely well. But I didn't get in a frenzy, whereas I think some people would have got in a frenzy over that. Suddenly realized, oh, I'm too late, and I don't have enough time to get ready. But I think if you sort of try to calm yourself down, and within yourself you're going to be on time.
So it's right on time.
Yeah, there you go, right on time. You got it, Tara. I was right on time.
Okay, so why do you think people make this huge issue? Because the two biggest issues I keep hearing about is time and money. Why? We're not going to talk about money today, but let's just focus on time. Why do people use it as one of their biggest excuses of all times why they can't get something done or why they can't engage with something? They say, I don't have time.
Well, I think probably because they've either put into their head they haven't got time, whether they have or not, but it's just something automatically people say, that they've got something else they're thinking of, or something else they're doing, or something else they want to do, and they really don't want to have time for it. Because I have a lot of things I don't have time for. But at the same time, it's a real good excuse not wanting to do it.
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with also the enjoyment factor of the particular thing you're doing. Doing it was one of the biggest problems a lot of my clients have is when they do their list of things, their chores, they tend to pick the easy things first, which they get done quite quickly, leaving the harder and more difficult things, and then they say, I don't have time for this. But what they're really saying is that I don't want to do this because this is difficult, so we'll push it till tomorrow, and then I'll start again doing the easy list again and never getting done the stuff that's really important. So I think it comes back to perspective and not so much really what the clock looks like, but how we sort of respect time in the sense of how difficult it is to move through it or past it. So we know they say that time flies when you're having fun, and it doesn't when you're not. So it's sort of the same cliche,
I would want to change that to, that's just coming to me right now. Time is flying when you're in the present moment, and it doesn't when you're not.
But it's so true, Tori, about people. You put off those jobs you don't want to do, and I've tried to teach myself to do the opposite, to try to get those jobs I really don't like doing, I really don't want to do, and I try to get those first, and then I'm sort of, then it's a beautiful feeling you have when you've got rid of those awful jobs that you really don't want to do, and then you've got these nice ones left, and it really puts you in a really beautiful, tranquil place of having that easement and having that relaxed feeling. So, but you're right, I think most people, me as well, have put off because we don't want to do that job.
It's one of the key things I tell my clients. It's become so motivational to get the big things done out of the way. Usually when you have more energy when you start, if you just tackle it, and then you realize, wow, I have all this extra time, and I'm doing the fun stuff, no less, at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's cool.
I think Brian Tracy put it in a great way, Tori. He said, eat the frog.
Yeah.
In other words, do the hardest things first, and the other thing is they don't take as much time as you thought they were going to, because now you're in a good space to do them. And you're right, by lunchtime you can have your schedule complete, and you're off to the beach or whatever that is for you, because you tackle those hard things, and they weren't so hard anyway. It was a perception.
Yeah.
And just a funny thing. France, they eat frog legs anyway. And they love them and they enjoy them.
So funny. I have a good example about bending time. Just today, I have a priority that I'm going to be moving, and I want to sell my car and get a new car after I move. And so today I put my car up for sale, and I was thinking, and I started getting all these responses, and my first response is, I don't even have time for this. I don't have time to go through all these responses today. Well, guess what? I found a woman who wants to buy it, and after our show today, we're going to make the deal, and it's going to be done. And I thought this was going to take, 3 weeks or something. And so it was something where I was like, I have no time to do this, but suddenly it became important in my mind. It became a priority, and I have had time to do everything I needed to do today, with that also huge thing of selling my car getting done too. So it's reflecting of what every one of you is saying, is that if it's a priority for us, we'll have days where it's like, we're so super busy, I have to get this all done, and we'll go out to lunch with a friend, and it'll end up being a 2-hour lunch because it just feels good to be there, even though we have all these other things that we need to be doing. So it's more about what feels good or feels priority in the moment, going back to the perspective and our focus of the whole thing, rather than anything that's, in the objective world, what we should be doing or getting done. Right?
Absolutely. And I think that's a really credible point. There should be. I was coaching a couple of clients yesterday, and you know what? Anger and frustration came up with all of them, all my clients yesterday. And I kept asking, so what's really behind this? And I had an idea of what was behind it, but I'm going, and what's really behind this? And what's really behind it? Painful coach. In the end, though, the funny part about it was, in the end, it came down to the frustration was with themselves. It was, I get all caught up in myself. I think that people are judging me, or I think that, that I'm angry because something that somebody else did, and I'm not about to let it go. It's like time has got in a hold of them, and if they were to just zap out and have some time for themselves to just relax, it would be wasting time. And
well,
so they tend not to do that.
But that's why they're with you, Linda, because they want to learn how you live and how you do it, and they see how relaxed you are, but it's hard to let go, I guess, sometimes,
But all that stuff that you're talking about, Linda, is not being in the moment. When they're thinking about anything else other than being right here, it's all about the past. Like I was hearing you saying, like they think they're not good enough or somebody doesn't like them. That's all in the past. So how can we assist or help our viewers, to be in the present moment? Because I think that's what's going to make the difference. And the fact that how do we let go of this conversation, being in this conversation of quote unquote excuse that I don't have time, because it's not even true. How can we tell the truth? Anybody?
Well, just by telling the truth.
Yeah, instead of can we catch ourselves? Like
it's so much easier to tell the truth than it is to tell a lie, because a lie you've got to remember. Yeah. I remember there was a terrible accident with one of my cars. I had a car, somebody had borrowed it, and then all of a sudden I get a call from the police department that it's out in some place full of gas and somebody tried to blow the car up. I have no idea what happened. and the reason I'm saying this is through the whole thing, I told them the truth from the beginning to the end. And in the insurance company, they took me all the way to a high-up guy, because we're talking about, 100,000, I don't know, 150,000. And I go to the top guy, and he gets the same story. So he sends me back down to the first guy because I told the truth, and I had no problem with any of it, because every single time the story was the same. And I think that completely eases you, and you're on the phone and you're saying the story, and you feel so comfortable with yourself and so relaxed. So it's so much easier when you just tell it how it is. It relaxes you. It lets go of all that kind of anger and all that feeling, and you don't honestly, truthfully have to worry.
Mm. I can comment on this one too, because I used to be, well, among other things, besides, addiction and food issues and all of this depression that I was in, I was also kind of a liar. I just got my kicks that way. There was no reason for me to lie about stuff, but I just lied about stuff. And I realized, like, the way that I trained myself to kind of get out of that was one by one, situation by situation. I would just say, what if it's okay for me to just be totally honest just this once? What if I was just completely honest just this one time? And then I would have an experience with it, and it would feel exactly what Ninon is saying. It would feel like relief, like, oh, I don't have to remember that I told her that and him that, and I, like that whole thing. So it was just, that's how I bridged into being able to tell the truth, was just experience by experience, one by one, doing it and realizing, like, okay, this is a better way to go about this.
Well, I learned mine when I was very young, as my dad told me something. He said, Nina, always remember, you don't have to lie. And I sort of obviously just lied to him about something because he knew it, and I didn't know he knew. So he told me, he said, listen, he said, people don't believe the truth anyway, so why lie? You might as well just tell them the truth, because they're not going to believe you anyway. So I thought, okay. It was quite a nice example from my dad.
The thing about time, though, it doesn't matter how old you are. It just is something that stays with some people for a long time. You all know my dad's in his 91st year now. And it was interesting that recently my brother had to move house. And I said to Dad, do you want to come round and we'll give Robert a hand? Anyway, Robert didn't give my dad any jobs because he's so old. And my dad, he comes home and he's so angry. He goes, I hate people wasting my time. And I'm thinking, my gosh, here you are at 90 years of age, still focused. And today he's the most...
Because he's working and doing things, that's why.
Well, he has changed now in this new retirement village. I've seen a whole different person. He sits in this corner. He reads so many books now. He's just at one with himself. He's just feeling really chirpy. In fact, he's too relaxed because he's got some health issues from not walking enough. But it's just, I see the change. And I think, well, okay, that's where I got that from. Stop wasting my time. And I hear people say that. And we become disempowered, if you will, to time, to the 24 hours. So if we look at a T-junction and we put down on this side of the T-junction the activities we do in a day, and then we write on this side of the T-junction whether those activities helped us reach our goal for the day or our goal for the year, and we go, no, yes, no, yes, and then we say, oh my gosh, I'm doing all these things to fill in time rather than I'm doing them because they really, really go towards me achieving whatever that goal is. That changed my life, doing that. And I was able to say, you know what, I'm going to get somebody else in, I'm going to outsource that, I'm going to get somebody else to mow my lawn, I'm going to get somebody else maybe to clean my house, because I just want to do what I love doing. And recently I downsized from a great big house to a unit so everything could just be timeless. And it's just the most amazing thing.
You were talking earlier about money, and it's so funny because and now you're talking about you've got to hire a gardener, you've got to pay the gardener, you've got a maid, you've got to pay the maid. So therefore, within your mind, to have all these people do this for you, you now have to make money to pay them. And it's funny because how it all works when you've got a number of bills, how you automatically are able to bring in enough money to pay these people. And it's funny, it's something you don't really think about, but it automatically happens. And I don't know how it happens, because every time I want to do something more, it's costing money, I'll do it, and then more money comes in over here, or something happens here. I think it's because the mind is working towards my goals of what I need, and I've got a clearer mind because I don't have to think of the garden or think of the pool or think of this or think of that. And I think that really clears your mind complete to be able to do these bigger and better things. And Steve, you know that better than anyone.
Yeah. You have more. What you're describing is you have more clarity.
Yes.
And exactly, and then you can focus better on the things that really makes your heart sing. Therefore, everything else underneath that will just unfold, and it's almost like how you're describing it. Some people will probably not believe us, but things just take care of themselves.
Yeah, they do. You're right. If
Yeah.
you don't put it out there to do it, if you don't get the gardener, then you've got to do it. You take time from her. So if you don't put that energy out there to make more money, but you're not really thinking of making more money, you know you have to already. So, but it all works. I don't know how it works. So Steve, yeah, it works.
It's called focusing on the mission.
It's just
focusing on
magical.
your mission. Well, what is your purpose on the planet? What is your mission that you were put here for? And once you really get that and you just focus on that mission, the money will come. The universe wants you to look after you. And also, you don't have to hire those people full-time. It's not like you're hiring 14 people full-time. You just bring them in when you need them to assist you to continue with your mission, whatever that may be.
Absolutely, and if you don't, and you can't do it alone, you definitely need other people. You definitely need other people to come in and do certain things. You cannot do it alone. That's for sure.
Which gives you more time.
I don't know what this has to do with time, but what you're referring to is I call it an emotional value point. And it's so many of us, we make just enough money to take care of the things that we need to take care of, and then until something else comes along, and then we don't have enough money, so then we get pushed till we make a little bit more money and we raise our emotional value point. And it's really interesting how humans generally always sort of settle at a space where they're comfortable. You know what I mean? It's funny.
Yes. Yeah,
so
they do.
You need the extra maid, you figure out a way, and then you get comfortable and you don't make any more money than that. You know?
It comes. It's funny. But if you don't put your goals out there and you're satisfied with where you are, and a lot of people are very satisfied. They like their 9-to-5 job, they like their one car, they like this, they go to a movie on the weekend, and a lot of people are very happy with that. I'm not. So therefore I make these waves and I make all this stuff happen. But what I really want to talk about is meditation. I have a problem with meditating.
Okay. Well, the reason why we had this dialogue about time before we talked about meditation is because it's what's in most people's way so that they don't meditate. And it's kind of funny because people's life isn't going to transform unless they begin to meditate or begin to do other things, similar. There are many other tools that's going to help us, help all of us to become more conscious and become more awake. Because that's really, when we're talking about meditation, we're talking about becoming conscious or becoming more conscious and more awake so that we can have clarity and we can have focus and we can be doing the things that make our heart sing, right, Dina?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's funny, in this, sorry, Steve, did you have something else?
That's fine. No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's funny because the meditation technique that I teach, that I developed, is 3 minutes 3 times a day. And sometimes when I'll take on a new client or talk to somebody who hasn't heard of that before, people will say, where am I going to find 3 minutes in these 3 increments 3 times a day? Busy moms or executives. I know, because it seems like 9 minutes I could find that, but I understand when we're in that mentality of I'm so busy and my to-do list is overflowing. But what the point I want to make is about our mindset and our mentality, because Steve is making a very good point when he says nothing in our world can change until we bring in meditation, because what does meditation do? It rewires the way that we think. It consciously changes the way our perspective and rewires the neural pathways in our brain. That's been my experience with it. Yeah. And so when people say to me, where am I going to find the time for it? I encourage them instead to adapt an attitude of curiosity, like just kind of settle in within themselves and ask the universe or ask their higher power, whatever their higher power is, and just say, if this is the right modality for me and if it will give me benefit, I believe I will find pockets of time throughout the day, like I'm open to being shown. Because this way you're not looking at your to-do list and you've got 38 things on there and this is going to be 39 and you're only going to get, it just seems impossible to fit it in. But if you come with an attitude of curiosity of like, I wonder if during the day there's going to be 3 minutes, or during the evening time there's going to be 3 minutes. I wonder if that switch in the way that you think about it moves you from emotionally being constricted and contracted into emotionally being expanded and open and curious and hopeful, and that is what allows it to come into us. It's the same thing with money. You know, if we have scarcity constricted mentality, we're not attracting money. If we feel open, expanded, curious, that's where we can allow money in. It's the same thing with time, where we want to fit things in. And the meditation, like Steve was saying, is so key because it's actually practical. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'll meditate when I'm dead, you know, or when I'm retired, or when I have time. It just, how is this going to be practical throughout my day? But I wouldn't be managing the life that I'm managing or had the transformations I've had if I didn't have meditation in my life. So for me, it's my go-to when I need to make a decision or get focused and get productive. It's that comes first, and everything else falls into place.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I need to ask a question here. In meditation, I know you're supposed to sit and sort of be quiet and sort of, but say if you're going to have something to eat, say you're going to have some breakfast or something, and you go out into the garden, you sit and you relax and you eat your, I mean, that's kind of meditation, isn't it? Just sort of relaxing and having a quiet moment by yourself and doing, you know, whatever it is, or just sitting there, or sort of, you know, and it does, and I actually allow myself to do that. But what a lot of things I do, which might shock the world, but I do pray a lot. And I do find that, and I do every day, and I do find that I do that because certain things happen in my life, and I'm just so grateful and so thankful that I go and pray and thank God for what He just gave me and what I have just received. And that's like meditation too, Dina?
For me, meditation isn't something that I'm doing like to check off my to-do list. It's a state of being. So I completely agree with you, because I can be in a meditative state but be driving, because I feel like I'm fully present, I'm connecting with the trees and the nature around me, my mind is quiet. So you're right, it's a state of being. I know somebody that used to be, when they would fold laundry, it was like, that's my meditation time. And for me, I get that, because you're quieting your mind and you're using kind of like a small neutral distraction activity so that you're focused positively and interrupting subconscious, the mind chatter that's always going. Now, for me, it's, so I take it a step further, because when I want to create or transform or have a breakthrough or a healing in my life, I take those 3 minutes 3 times a day and have a really focused visualization. So if all I want to do is relax and quiet my mind, I could totally do that in a garden or while I'm driving. But if I, like, for example, when I wanted to lower my cholesterol, I would take those 3 minutes, and this is not something I could do while I was doing anything else, and I would picture that this healing serum was going through my blood and cleaning out my arteries. Really, and you know, it's really intense to visualize that way. And so when I want to have a breakthrough or a transformation with something, I kind of step it up a notch. But if what you're looking for is just a calm feeling of well-being, peace, presence, and oneness with what you're doing, then I love that. I love that.
It'll give our audience a little, so they don't feel they have to go and sort of sit somewhere and just be totally silent and sit there and like try to meditate, because you know people sometimes they know that they can do something, and whatever it is, like as you said, laundry, it could be anything, but just to relax your mind and take yourself away from whatever pressure you're under or whatever you're doing, which you shouldn't be under pressure anyway. But I think it's good. Go ahead, Steve.
Let me just put it a different way. It's really about coming home. And however you come home, meaning come into yourself, is meditation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I just want to give you an example of what I usually don't share this, what I do right before the show.
Well, you know you're sure you don't. Yeah, Steve.
But I'm going to do it this time because it's
when you go, right?
so here you go. So right before the show, well, not right before, but I mean, I don't, you know, I really have to start like 45 minutes before a show to get ready. And I noticed 45 minutes before the show that, oh my goodness, I was so busy all day long, I have not taken a shower yet. And I'm going, okay, so I have a choice. I have a choice to just wash my hair. And if I just wash my hair, I will look fine for the show and put on a nice clean shirt. Nobody will know any different. And then I'm going to be able to spend some personal time with myself and actually meditate. So will I do that, or will I just go take a shower? So guess what I choose? I choose to spend some personal time with me, and I just went and washed my hair. You can't tell that I didn't take a shower, can you?
No, but we all know now.
but you do now, and that's fine. I don't care. So, the experience.
I would have taken the shower. In fact, that's what I did do.
No, I didn't. I didn't take a shower, but you would have taken a shower probably, right?
I would. Yeah, I would have taken a shower because that would have relaxed.
I didn't, because to me, based on where I was, in time and how much I had to get ready and to start the show, doing a whole shower wasn't in the picture if I wanted to spend some time with myself. And spending some time with myself is important to me because based on who I'm being right now on the show has a lot to do with that personal time that I spend. And all I've done is I just put my feet up on my desk and I just sat back in my really nice comfortable chair and I just closed my eyes and I felt this incredible heaviness that I had just dissipate. And I got really light, and it was such a great feeling. I don't even have the words to tell you how good it felt to come home and just to be with me. It was absolutely, it was like having dessert. It's a really good dessert.
Steve, come back, don't go away, Steve, come back. You were going away a little bit there, we were losing you. Come back, we're doing a show now.
Come home.
And then I wasn't even paying attention how long that took because it didn't matter. And then I opened my eyes and I felt light, I felt wonderful, and I proceeded on doing what I need to do, turn on all the computers, blah, blah, blah. And so here we go. But why we're talking about this is because people go through every day. I know this because I used to do this. People go through every day, do nothing else other than all these things. And 80% of all these things that they do has nothing to do with who they really are. Mm-hmm. Now, why are they okay with that? Is this. Because they don't know who they really are.
They don't know any different. They don't know
any different.
So how do we change that, Dina? How do we help audience out there to sort of, I'm not going to say to have a better life. Who are we to judge whether they have a good life or not?
The only way we can help them, Nina, is to do these kind of shows and just to remind everybody to remember where they came from. Because when we are born, and I just had somebody say this the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. So I'm going to repeat it. Okay. So I had a guest on one of my shows, and he said this. There are two important days in your life. The day when you were born is a very important day. And the second day is not the day when you die, is the day when you realize why you came here.
Well, I think a majority of people probably don't even know that.
and that's I made that equal to, I even said that to him on the show. I said that's beautiful, that sounds absolutely beautiful, but what you're really describing is when people awake, when they become awake and they become conscious.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is there? Why else? I mean, I feel so lucky. I don't know about all of you, but I feel so lucky that I'm living right now in the history of humanity, because this is the most exciting time. I mean, I wouldn't want to go back 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Things were we think things are rough now. Back then was much rougher than as it is right now. And the world sometimes doesn't look that good right now. But in a way, what's happening right now is people are becoming awake. And that's a beautiful thing, to be able for me to witness that. I can't imagine anything else in my life that would be more fulfilling and satisfying than to be able to be a witness how people are waking up. And what I mean by waking up is they realizing that, oh my God, I came to this planet. I was born because I'm supposed to be a writer, or I'm supposed to be a TV host, or I'm supposed to be a teacher.
You're supposed to have a purpose in life. You have to have a purpose in life.
Whatever. Yeah, but 90% of people out there are just working for whatever they're working for at whatever company that they hate to wake up every morning to, and they actually despise everything they do all day long, and the day goes very slowly for them because they're not happy, they're not satisfied, they're not fulfilled, and they're doing it for no other reason than to survive.
In Napoleon Hill's newest book that was just released called Conversations with the Devil, he called that drifting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the book, but it was written in 1938, and it was published only 3 years ago, because when he wrote the book, after he wrote Think and Grow Rich, he was afraid of what Conversation with the Devil might mean. And this book, ironically, got delivered to me the day I was flying to Europe from a friend, and he had just gone through his spiritual purification process, and I instantly realized that he believed he was speaking to the devil, but he made contact with his higher self, but his ego didn't want to believe that the information was genuine, so he thought he was sneaking it or getting it in a negative way. And the funny thing is that after he passed, his wife was still embarrassed to release the book because she didn't want to ruin sort of his memory. And the book only got released by his foundation just 2 years ago. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's
Conversation with the Devil.
Did you read the book?
I read it 3 times because I read it once, and then I wanted to read it again, and then I read it with a highlighter, and I'm going to read it a 4th time. And if anybody's interested, it's available on YouTube just for free. You can get the audio. Just do Napoleon Hill, Conversation with the Devil, and get the free audiobook there.
Oh, I got to get that one. I want to read that.
But Steve,
it's very interesting. I did the same thing with his first book, Tori, the Think and Grow Rich. I read it the first time and I went, oh yeah, and then I read it another time and the words just bounced out in front of me, and I was so excited. And I was sitting on a plane going to Singapore, and all these words. And I remember Bob Proctor and John Canary at the time said, well, the book doesn't change, Linda, it's just that you've changed. And so everything just seems different. That's why, people don't understand why we read books over and over again. When you change, the book has a whole different meaning. Sure, so it's really quite interesting. Can I just say one thing that you were saying, Steve, and I'd really admire what you just said. I've got 5 major projects, as I said, happening at the moment, and there was some hassles the other day. And I could feel myself just getting a little bit tense over one of them. And I just lay on my bed and I just started going from my conscious mind, which is that mind that's telling the subconscious mind off all the time. It's sort of the ego. And I just trusted my unconscious, and I just spoke to the universe. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to bed earlier tonight, and I'm just going to trust that you're going to give me all the right answers tomorrow, because we're doing some wonderful stuff here. And I just know I'm going to wake up with everything, all the clarity I need to make whatever this, do work. We were running 3 projects for one project. We were running 3 events. I had an idea what I needed to do, but there was some stuff happening, some external stuff that was out of our control. And, I went to bed. I slept right through the night. I felt amazing because through that small meditation and that gratitude and just trusting that I have the answers. The universe and us are one in one. We're connected. We have the answers. But when our head is busy, I've got to do that. I don't have time, but I've got to do that. We don't get to really relax for those 3 minutes, like Dina said, and just trust that inside, deep down, when we stop long enough, we actually have all the answers we need. I woke up the next morning and it was so clear what I needed to do, and I just did everything I need to do. I cancelled one of the events. The other 2 are going amazing. I feel fabulous. The whole project has changed. There's a whole new energy around it, and everything is run smooth. And it's about just letting go and allowing the universe and you to work together. Stop fighting. Because that takes time.
But that's me. You cleared your mind out. You cleared it. You relaxed it. You made it sort of get room. And they say when you get older, you don't need, as much sleep. Well, I still think you need a lot. I think you need a good sleep. A restless sleep is not a sleep, but a good sleep. And if you had a good sleep, clears your mind completely. And you're absolutely right. You wake up and you're really going bustle, and you know exactly where you're going and what you're doing and how to do it. And it's just a beautiful feeling.
Absolutely.
All of these are such a good example of kind of like our levels of consciousness, right? Because the way that you had those breakthroughs like Napoleon Hill books, I had that with Eckhart Tolle. When I was in my depression and addiction, I picked up Power of Now, and I swear to you, the words looked like blah, blah, blah. I just could not understand what on earth this guy was talking about. But when I went through, and it's funny because when I was in my addiction, if you would have come to me even 2 days before I was ready to get my own healing, I would have just said, I'm moving out of town if you're going to be in my face about fixing this. Like, I couldn't see it. I wasn't ready to change it until I was ready to change it. It's the same thing, I think, with, day jobs. I had a day job until 2 years ago, until I started doing this, and I was really resistant giving it up because it was small, it was comfortable, it was safe, it was secure. I wasn't like I am now, sharing my message with people who could potentially criticize me, be out there. Income was very predictable, even though it was smaller. So there was like this kind of safety bubble or comfort zone that I didn't want. It's like what Tori was talking about before, the glass ceiling we set for ourselves, whether it's financially or emotionally. We have a certain belief or a certain bubble that we are comfortable within, and until we're ready to transcend that, we can't. And even what Ninon was asking about, how do we help people listening in? I know for me, I wasn't ready until I was ready. Even if people would have been poking at my bubble and saying, I can see things for you can't see for yourself. I couldn't have believed that until I was ready to. So what we can do is hold the light and share our own experience. It's kind of, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it type of thing. And then when people are ready, it's like, it's the analogy that I've heard of the lighthouse, right? Like being a lighthouse, the lighthouse isn't going around seeking and saving all those boats. It's just standing there solid, beaming, so that when the boats are ready and they want to come in, the lighthouse is there. And so we just do as much as we can to, project our presence and our solution and our story and how we did it. And then those who are attracted to that, when they are ready, come to us, and then, we can help from there.
Yeah, right on.
Don't to give yourself that time that you were talking about, those 3 minutes. Don't be afraid. Don't feel guilty that you don't owe it to yourself, because if you don't do it, then everything else is going to be twice as hard. But if you give that relaxing time, which makes you just feel, and letting the air out and making you feel so good, and then you're ready to sort of march in. And I often tell people, I say, just relax. Count to 3, relax, and now start moving forward. Because it's just, when you get all anxious and tied up, your brain doesn't think, and you don't think. But being relaxed, that's all it is. But a lot of us can't relax,
Yeah.
It's also an expectation, too, a lot of people have with meditation that scares them, that they think they have to become somebody else or do something that's mystical. And I tell a lot of friends that don't meditate, when we talk about why, I said, did you ever consider having a conversation with you, if you're just walking on the beach or walking in the forest, just having almost a conversation with the thought before the thought, and nothing more. And I actually, this is such a timely show, as usual. I just did a 20-minute video for my program the other day about meditation, and I did it outdoors, and there was dogs barking, and tractors were going by, and a garbage truck kept backing up, and I was getting really frustrated. And I was literally 6 hours into the video, kept stopping because the lawnmower guy came, and then after he left, the weed blower guy from next door. And I sat there and I'm thinking, I said, my God, if I can't get through this, then I have no business talking about it. So I took a deep breath and I went out, and what I did is I pre-framed the expectation of what I thought was going to happen. So my first 5 minutes, so my mantra was that, you know what, guys, I normally do this in the studio, and I tried it this morning, and the craziest things have been happening to me, I got to tell you. And one of the craziest things that's happened is that a hawk flew by and actually dropped a heifer rabbit about 50 feet from me.
Wow.
So that actually happened while I went through the taped one. And at 17.5 minutes, who would think that the car alarm next door would actually go off for about a minute and 15 seconds? And
goosebumps. I have goosebumps.
Yeah, I just started talking. I said, you know what? And did you ever have a car alarm go off when you were trying to focus on something else, or the kids come busting in your room, or the UPS guy is there, or somebody calls you on the phone you really don't want to talk to, you really have to stop doing what you're doing if you're not really doing anything but talking to yourself. And it allowed me to get through this video in one take after 6 hours of beating myself up. And I realized myself, it's just a conversation. Just like we're having a conversation now, and if somebody rings the doorbell, of course I'm not going to leave, but somebody will get the door. So it's funny what our expectations do to us in regards to meditation.
That is funny because
I learned the hard way about meditating and running afterwards. I was meditating upstairs once in my last house, and the phone rang, and I'd come out of my meditation, and I raced down the stairs to get to the phone, and I fell. Oh my gosh, I had bruises, black. I had a black backside and all up my back. And I went to the chiropractor sometime later, and he said, "Have you had some sort of injury?" I said, "Oh, I just fell down the stairs." He said, "Oh, that'd do it." And he said, "What was the message you got?" I said, "Yeah, you're right." I looked up to the universe and I said, "Why did you do that?" And I went, "Oh, sorry, got it. I got it so quickly. Stop running. Somebody will pick up the phone, or if it was that important, they'll call back." I think, Dina, what you were saying is that with those 3 minutes and people putting that into their day and they say, "I don't have time for that." You know what? When I was teaching in fitness, I used to say, if you don't find time and money for happiness and health, you better find time and money for sickness, because that's the opposite, and it's a lot more costly. And so for me, walking in the morning is just, it is part of my day. Nothing stops it. That's my meditation, that's my walking, that's my exercise. I can come back with the most amazing ideas because I'm just one with nature. It was raining this morning. I don't care. You put a rain jacket on and you keep, the dog might, but we just put a rain jacket on and off we go. But that becomes now an important part of my day, the same as the 3 minutes or the 5 minutes of meditation, of stopping and having that conversation of, "Thank you for helping me through this. I know I've got all the right answers, and you know, it will come." The great part about it is you make time by doing that, because the clarity of how you then proceed is amazing.
Yeah. I just wanted to go back real quick, just a moment, just real quick before I forget. I wanted to just go back to what Dina said. I just wanted to add something to it. So I just recently realized that this TV show, Living Consciously TV, I did not choose it. It chose me.
I can't believe that.
And I have a feeling, because now that I realize that this is probably how it works in the world. So this show is going to choose people when they're ready. And until then, it doesn't make any difference.
And it doesn't matter if they're there or they're not there, because we're still going to continue doing it. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But I love what you said, Tori, about going outside and all this noise. I did a show at Beverly Hills High School for 16 years. It was a half-hour show. And a lot of the kids were actually doing the filming. They did the cameras, and they were the managers of the floor and the whole bit. So they would drop things and doing things. Well, when you're doing a show and you know you're on the air, there was not, anybody could do anything. It would not distract me for 1 second. The whole thing would, I can remember many times, things would fall and things would drop because kids did that. I would not distract my mind to that. I concentrated on where I was with this person whom I was talking to. But watching them, they would say, "Oh, what was that? And what was that?" And I'd say, "Well, no, come back." And I would say, you know, and I would not detour off that. But it's funny how you can train yourself to actually block out anything around you. And when you're on television, you're doing radio or doing anything like this, it's funny how you can train yourself to do that. So if you can train yourself to do that in a show, you can train yourself anytime to block yourself out or to even block yourself in, whichever you want to do. But you can choose that through your mind. It's amazing what your mind can really do.
You know what's really interesting, Nina, is that the 6 hours prior to the clip that I went through, the difference between the 20 minutes that was successful with all the crazy chaos going on and the rest of the day was there was no decision prior to In other words, during the 6 hours, I would get frustrated. I would kick over to the stand. I would throw my glass up in the air. I would just.
Ooh, we now know what you're like, huh?
And
Woohoo!
my decision really
Don't
was.
mess with me.
Only thing I thought about was being pissed off.
Yeah.
Instead of finally making a conscious decision that I'm going to do this no matter what it takes.
Mhm.
And that was only after making that decision. So I appreciate what you just said about that, because the learning happens once we make a choice.
Yeah.
And
You
not
make a
before.
choice, and it's funny what your mind can do, because you could, and like you said, Steve, someone could knock at the door or do something. If anybody did anything right now, I would not move from here. Nothing would happen. It was like nothing could happen, because I'm so clued into where I am right now, what I'm doing. And it's funny because your last 20 minutes is exactly what you did. You couldn't hear the car. You couldn't hear anything else. All you knew was you're going to finish what you're doing and what you want to do. So you decided to concentrate on what you wanted and not what was out there.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that everybody is focused on this, that what you're describing is really being in the present moment.
Yeah.
That's what you're describing.
It is. And it's hard to stay there. But I've had 2 or 3 projects I've had to do lately in the last 2 weeks, and I literally concentrated on both of them, or all of them actually. I've got them done. They're done. They're finished, and everything's. And I feel really cool because they're finished. But I put my mind to it to do that because I didn't want them hanging around. You know, it's easy to say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tonight. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." It's so easy to do that. But once you actually get geared into your head, into your body, and being focused, as you said, Steve. It's amazing how wonderful you feel after the fact.
Yeah.
I think one of our biggest.
Hang on for a second. I want to make sure we don't run out of time. And Dina has an opportunity to maybe walk us through and walk the viewers through one of these meditation practices, just on as an example. And there's a million ways to do it. There's no right way or wrong way. But I want to make sure that I say this is that I think there has to be a way that we can, all of us, train ourselves to catch ourselves when we are using the excuse that I don't have time, and we need to give it up. Like, we need to give up the fact that we don't have time.
Because we do have time.
Because we do.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do. It's just that we don't allow ourselves. It's like going back onto Tori. Tori actually allowed himself to finish what he was doing. It all took 20 minutes, which he could have done in the morning. Took him 20 minutes and not all day, and getting angry and throwing his glasses and all this stuff. And that was only hurting him, nobody else.
Yeah.
But I think if we allow ourselves that pleasure, which we have.
So listen to this. I had so many conversations with people where they're telling me, you know, like I talk to people because they want to start their show or whatever, and they tell me that they don't have time for it. So my comeback to that is, we can continue this conversation if you're willing to give up that you don't have time. If you're not willing to give it up, then you're not ready, and that's okay.
Yeah. And which is true, they're not ready. That's exactly, that's a typical the answer. You are not ready for whatever it may be. When you're ready, call me.
You will have time.
Yeah. You make
Time won't be an issue. Yeah. Okay, so there. Let's see if we can teach our viewers a little bit, and even ourselves, how Dina does her 3-minute meditation, and you know, hopefully we'll touch more and inspire some people.
That would be great.
I'd love it. So, Steve, do you prefer that I actually lead a 3-minute meditation, or I can talk about how someone could structure it to give them something to take?
how to structure it.
I think we should.
Which one?
Both.
Both. Okay, great. So the structure of it first. I know. So what I've heard from several, kind of productivity or self-help gurus is it takes 21 or 28 days or something like that to create a habit, because that's how long it takes us to train our brains to think in a different way and switch from motivation and willpower to true inspiration and wanting to do something, releasing our resistance to it. So what I advise for people is to take it 7 days at a time. Like, I've been doing this for over 5 years now. I still have reminders in my phone 3 times a day, and I still put on a timer for 3 minutes, because you want to be able to trust the bell to bring you out of it rather than kind of like peeking at the clock, like, when did I sit down? Has it been 2 minutes? Like that. So those are the two things to think about logistically to set up for, to remind yourself for success. I also recommend that you not do it while you're kind of falling asleep or just waking up in bed, because for me it's a really kind of active time when I'm visualizing something, and so I want to be, it doesn't matter if you're sitting up or laying down, but you want to be alert enough to pay attention within it. And then within the 7 days, for the first week or so, if it feels like your mind is like a garden with too many weeds in it, it's just too many negative thoughts or choking out the roses you're trying to plant, just do something that's like a neutral distraction exercise. So you might do something like set your timer for 3 minutes and start from 99 and count backwards by 7s, you know, just something odd like that, or put on a candle flame and look for different shapes in it. You know, that looks like a spire of a cathedral, or, you know, the tail of a wedding dress, or whatever, because that gives you something to focus on. Sometimes it's easier to focus on something neutral than it is to just lose focus entirely and try to quiet your mind. It's almost too much to take on at first. So try that, a neutral distraction activity, for 7 days, and then check in with yourself after 7 days. Like, how do I feel? Can I really quiet my mind at will now? If it takes you, the way that you know that it's working is if you set your timer for the 3 minutes, and then it takes you a second when you come out of it, you've done the counting or the candle watching or whatever, and you come out of it and think, what was I doing right before I sat down? Oh yeah, I got to pick up the dog and the kids and the whatever. If it takes you a second to remember what you had been doing previously, you've accomplished it. You've interrupted that subconscious programming successfully. And so after 7 days, if it feels like I can totally just quiet my mind at will, it's not hard for me, I know how to do that, then that's where it gets fun, because that's where I have people start implementing positive visualizations of what they want to create for their lives. And that's a whole nother, you know, kind of ball of wax or can of worms to go through, but that's just a little starting point to be able to practice how to quiet your mind. And the difference that you notice, every person who has told me that they have played full out, because the thing is playing full out, and when we take something on for 7 days, we can play full out with it. You know, I'll join the gym for 7 days. I can do that for a week. I can commit to this for 7 days, because it's the playing full out for, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row that creates the permanent change that we're looking for. So does that feel clear, like how you would start?
Very, very clear, and I'm going to tell you why, because I just bought a 5-day, I think it's Weight Watchers or something. I want to lose some fat, not muscle. I want to lose the fat and gain the muscle.
What fat?
So I bought this 5-day thing.
Where was that?
somewhere. I don't know where. It's in the brain, probably. Floating around the brain. But anyway, I bought this 5-day thing, and I'm on the 2nd day. Now, you're talking about something that I've got to have. I don't eat breakfast, but I'm going to follow the rules. I've got to have breakfast, I've got to have lunch, and I've got to have the dinner, and then a little dessert afterwards. And it's really, I'll tell you something, you adapt to this, and it's mind over matter, and I absolutely love it. It's like a challenge. It's like, no, I'm not going to eat in between. I'm going to do exactly what it is, because I want to see how it works. And it's amazing how you can actually adapt to it. And it's exciting. It's like something, like you said, go to the gym. And this is like something else that's sort of my eating habits. But it's adapting your brain to where you want to go and what you want. And sometimes, I guess you probably have to be in the mode for it. So I'm in the mode for doing this. But it's so relaxing and so beautiful, and there's challenges on it. It's not really a challenge because it's easy. And I like it.
Dina, can I just add one thing? You know, when you said focus on a candle or a light or something, can I just add one more that I work with, and that's my breath. When you focus on your breath, just going in and out of your body, you actually can't think of anything else. So for me, that's one thing that I can work on. Yeah.
Oh, mine are making faces in the mountains. Ever driven along and you see the mountains, and you see the head, and you see the nose, and you see that's my thing. You see the face, it's the face, and then the next man that has a face, and that's the kind of, you drift off. Hopefully not having an accident while you're driving.
Yeah, I mean, actually what we're talking about is using the frontal lobe when we go into meditation. Our old brain doesn't know how to do that, the reptilian brain. So we're activating the frontal lobe, and breath, like what Linda said, that's brilliant. It needs all the oxygen it can get, because we're opening up our consciousness. Make sense?
Yes, that's why they say when you're going to go and do something, big, you're going to on stage or something, breathe in and let it all out.
Yeah. Right. So How long with the? What would you do if you would demo this, Dina? Because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I know. Well, you want to just do 1 minute? I can do something that's real quick. That's 1 minute, and
Let's
it'll
just do
be
something real
all
quick.
right.
Just an
Okay.
example, just a taste, an appetizer.
Okay. Okay. Great. So let's just go right into it right now. You know, just settle in, feel your body, eyes open, eyes closed. Anybody that wants to participate, and feel yourself just really settle in to this moment right now. Nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do, but just find stillness in your body for this moment. And I invite you to imagine or get curious about something that you'd really like to be feeling in this moment. It might be an essence of love or a feeling of peace or an energetic productivity. And we're just going to take a couple deep breaths, like Linda was saying, the importance of the breath. And as you take these breaths, imagine that you're breathing in the essence of that which you're most wanting to feel. So just take a breath now, just inhaling and feeling that essence entering your body and seeping and saturating every single cell of your body as it flows through. And let yourself take 2 more breaths just like that, just breathing in, feeling that essence infiltrate and saturate every cell of your body. And then just 1 more, breathing in. The breath is the avenue where you can really anchor in that feeling, that essence, and just knowing it's anchoring itself into every cell of your body. And so when you're ready, just go ahead and release that breath and bring your focus back into the room right now, just keeping that essence with you as you return.
It feels like I'm having wings. I've grown wings. I'm going to fly.
Let's go. Steve, come back. We'll do a show,
Land,
Steve.
land.
Wow, fantastic. Delicious.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's easier than we think. You know, even if all you do is just 3 deep breaths, it gets you conscious, it gets you centered. You can breathe in energy, productivity, calmness, whatever you're, you know, looking to feel or to create.
Awesome. Well, Dina, thank you so much. we ran out of time 4 minutes ago, but that's okay. So thank you very much, Dina, for being on the network again. We really love who you're being and your presence and your energy and your mastery. So thank you for being here. I also want to thank all of our cast members, Nina, Linda, Tori, and to our viewers, make sure that you keep coming back to Living Consciously TV, and then if you touch, moved, and inspired you, just keep interacting with us on our website at consciousevolutionmedia.com. Keep watching these shows. The more you watch them, the more they get up to the top 10 every month, and the more we'll be able to take these shows to PBS. So thank you so much. Public television is an important part of our lives these days, so thank you all, and we'll see you next time, always on Tuesdays, same time, same place, consciousevolutionmedia.com. Thank you all. I love you all.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Goodbye.
I love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It was great seeing you.